Hey, I'm Guy, and that's John.
Yes, it is. Podcast below in the description. We need to subscribe to both the channel and the podcast. Like these videos. Leave your comments, too.
Podcast and our channel this week is brought to you by DraftKings. It's a big week.
Yes. Download the DraftKings app. We got this little thing called the Masters. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Get in our game. Use the promo code HAM when you download the app and play some fantasy golf.
Oh, it's a blast. You're going to get in the Haberman and Middlecoff League. By the way, when you use the code HAM, you get your shot at $1 million as well. Come join us. All right, John, I think here's a take for you. Justin Fields, if he gets drafted by the Niners, he'll look like Herbert in that he will have the best offensive rookie year of this QB class. Physically freak, big school, obviously biggest school, you could argue. There were the questions that we had about Herbert, similar, right? Like, does he ever, sometimes he doesn't get the ball out quick enough. Does he get to his second read? But his physical skills were at the top of the chart. His arm strength, the top of the chart. Sneaky athlete. I don't even know if you would call Herbert sneaky athlete, but obviously Fields superior athlete. And I think with Fields, again, part of the comp is I think if Kyle Shanahan drafts Fields, I think he has the best chance to make it look like Herbert year one. Like if he's on the Niners, I think he'll throw more touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson. And I think it'll look like maybe in year one, Kyle would have drafted this guy at 2. Like that's how I arrived in part at Herbert. What do you think of that comp?
I think Herbert is just a much bigger specimen. I mean, he's got him by. I mean, Justin Fields is 6'3". This guy's,
Herbert's
over
6'6".
6'6".
Yeah.
You know,
and
huge.
You've seen him. I've seen him. He's massive.
10-inch hands. He weighed 235 pounds at the combine. I mean, he could probably be 245 pretty easy by the time he's in his late 20s, right? He's going to live in LA, probably be a healthier diet than Roethlisberger. But as his body fills out with like good muscles, he might be enormous, right? In a good way. Like just be like, oh my God, that guy's a freak. I get back to the McNabb thing. Now, McNabb was a little shorter, but I like the Herbert because Herbert is a really good athlete. And just running a fast 40 time, like Herbert was a 4.68 guy. Fields ran 4.4 flat. Being a great athlete doesn't mean you're very fast, right? Some great athletes are slower. Like Steph Curry is not anywhere near as fast as Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is dramatically a better twitcher athlete, but Steph is a big-time athlete, right? And Clay, too. I mean, but he's not a twitchy guy. So you got to balance that. I think Fields is much twitchier. Donovan, who was smaller but played bigger, was a college basketball guy, so knew how to use his body type. I think when you think about a guy that, like, you bring up Zach Wilson, like he would. I don't envision him like breaking a tackle from Nick Bosa or something to like roll out. When you think young Donovan, he could like break shit and keep things alive because he was so sturdy. And I think Justin Herbert's going to have that. And I actually think Justin Fields will have that, but he's faster than all these guys. So when he takes off, it might look like RG3. It's like, holy shit. That's where when you talk about the prospect, he's an elite prospect. He's taller than the short guys. And when I say the short guys, like 6'1", 6'2", like he's in the 6'3s. He has elite speed for a quarterback. He has elite arm strength, and he had elite production in his time in college. Now, are there things to work on? Of course there are. Donovan McNabb needed a lot of work, and he got with Andy Reid, and he made 6 Pro Bowls. And I think everyone would say this guy's actually a better football player than Donovan was. So, like, I don't see how the sky – like, to me – by far, of all the ceilings in this class, I think you could include Trevor Lawrence. If Justin Fields hits, like I think he's a superstar guy, a superstar.
I think he's and on this team with this coach, with the personnel around him,
superstar.
Yeah. And I do think Lance could be too, but I also think if the Niners had ended up at 2. It would not surprise me in the slightest if they would. I wouldn't shock me if you told me that Kyle Shanahan has Lance and Fields ahead of Zach Wilson.
I would be shocked if he doesn't. At least one of them.
Fields for sure. I can see him liking Lance.
I've been telling you for a while. I know a lot of people in the NFL think he's going to like Lance more than Fields, which is believable. I think that just Justin. I get their names mixed up. Trey Lance, Justin Herbert. Justin Fields. Justin Fields has the highest ceiling because he was a 5-star guy. He lived up to the hype. I watched him against Clemson do it. It's like I know it translates when he's on. But I told you the moment the trade happened, or maybe we talked about it like on Sunday, the trade happened on Friday. I believe to my core, whether it's Fields or Lance, I don't know. I would die to have the inside information. I think they have their guy picked when they made the trade.
Yeah, part of that is we're not buying the report that they're like Lynch wants one guy and Kyle wants another guy and there's some disagreement. Not a soul who actually knows is leaking. That's not how the Niners operate. There was something deep within me that thinks he's going to draft Lance. That he loves the idea, not just of the player, but of being able to take this guy from North Dakota State and turning him to an NFL superstar.
See, I think that when we talk about risks, like we said, just because Mac Jones has high floor does not mean that his risk could be the ugliest.
His risk might be just as high as these other guys' risk.
Yeah, I think it is.
Certainly Fields.
I actually think taking Trey Lance is a pretty risky move.
Yeah.
You're taking a one-year starter, small school. It just be.
But highly productive, I think, is easy to kind of see what he would look like in your offense. I don't think it's that hard to talk yourself into
Trey Lance over Justin Fields, I think that's pretty risky.
Yeah. Well, if that's the case, the fourth quarterback off the board might turn into the most productive one right away. At least the second best quarterback.
It was just 3 years ago when the two guys came out of high school. It was 1A and 1B, and it was Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields. Rivals. That's I think there are other sites.
24/7.
That's the one I use. I think that both sites, 1-2, not quarterbacks, players in the country. 5 stars. Like they were the elite guys. Then they lived up to the elite. Now the difference is Trevor started right away and Justin couldn't and then had a transfer. I think that's aged well. And I actually, when I was talking to my SEC buddy, I was like, well, don't you think Georgia regrets that? And they're like, no, I think they thought Jake Fromm was like their Mac Jones, just not quite as good. Like
they were trying to win a national championship, not
Yeah. And this guy was just pretty raw. And Trevor was, I think, there was a reason he was 1, not 2. He was a little more pro-ready, right? He hit the ground running. I actually saw a headline on The Athletic today. Is like, DJ Ungale. They had their spring game on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's like, he's ready. They're probably going to be pretty good.
Isn't it Ungale? Is that what it is?
Yeah, just I'm fucking huge and going to dominate.
I met him at an Oregon spring practice a few years ago before he committed to Clemson. He's a massive dude.
To me, the 2 college quarterbacks I'm excited to watch are him, and I think the Bryce Love guy for Alabama is going to start.
Yeah.
With Bill O'Brien, who I heard someone say, it was Michael Lombardi, said that one of Mac Jones' role has been this offseason while he's getting ready for the draft, teach Bill O'Brien the Alabama offense.
What?
Well, I just think he's there training, hangs out with the facility.
That is fantastic. And Bill probably has some stuff for him.
Yeah, I just think if you're Bill O'Brien, wouldn't you want to spend time with Mac Jones? Because I think Bill O'Brien is talking to people in the NFL, like he spent a lot of time with them, just signing off on. I think everyone acts like Bill O'Brien's the village idiot. Like he is Alabama's offensive coordinator, and he didn't make the playoffs 4 out of 5 years.
Well, you and I have talked about this a lot. I wouldn't want him running my team, but he won more games than we talk about him as he did. Right?
We talk about do you see this Hugh Jackson thing going down? It's like Hugh. No one wants to relitigate your time as the head coach for the Browns. It wasn't all your fault, but you were a clown and you were terrible. So you can't do this victimhood of there's this thing because he has a book coming out.
Oh, okay.
I guess there was a moment where Jimmy Haslam and John Dorsey walk into his office and say they're going in a different direction. And Hugh Jackson points to the door and says, "Get the fuck out of my office." And if I was Jimmy Haslam, this is my office actually. And no, you pack your shit up and go.
I mean, do you do that moment just so you can write about it later in the book?
I mean, did the moment even happen?
So, all right, what do you think of this on Fields? That if he's the Niners pick, that he could lead the rookie quarterbacks in touchdowns. Just as an aside, last year Laviska Shenault caught 5 touchdowns in 14 games. Keenan Cole caught 5 touchdowns in 16 games. DJ Chark caught 5 touchdowns in 13 games. So if I said Chark, Shenault, could Trevor Lawrence? My inclination was that Fields would throw more touchdowns than Trevor Lawrence this year. That was part of the Herbert comp.
At a game, no.
At a game, but they'd all get to play in that game. What do you think? Fields on the Niners, would you pick him coming into the season as the rookie with the most touchdown passes.
Well, the year the Niners went 13-3 and made the Super Bowl, Jimmy threw 27 touchdowns. I just think the way Kyle would play would just ease him into it, running the ball. I could see him having an extra 4 or 5 on the ground.
Yeah.
What did Herbert have this year?
$1 million.
31, which I thought was a rookie record, but don't quote me on that.
I think it was because he broke some rookie record that it was like, wait, that was the record? That guy had the record, remember?
I would doubt it. My pushback would be like becoming only the 4th rookie to achieve.
Baker had the record before him. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
But I'm not saying he's going to set a record. I'm just saying he'll throw more touchdowns than the other rookies. But you think the Jags are just going to throw the ball a ton?
Yeah, man, I just think the way the 49ers want to play, they would probably keep him at like 25 and just score touchdowns other ways. I mean, they do run the ball a lot.
Yeah, to me, 25 might lead rookies.
I mean, he threw 31 touchdowns, but remember, he did not play week 1. He only played in 15 games.
Herbert, yeah.
Yeah, 2 extra games. If Herbert had got 2 extra games, what's that number at 36?
Yeah, I mean, why not? So, just an early take.
What about this? Like, they had a pretty explosive offense. The Niners would have a pretty explosive offense. He became, his rookie season, only 4 guys, and it's all within the last decade, of course, with the game changing. Rookie quarterbacks have thrown over 4,000 yards. Cam, Luck, Jameis, and Herbert. Like, I just think they would accumulate a lot of yards, right, with Kyle. Yep. If you told me Justin Fields starts 17 games, I would bet he would get close to the 4,000 yard mark just with the offense. Even if they did a lot of work like 20 to 20, right, and ran some balls in. Also, Herbert had 5 touchdowns on the ground. I mean, could Fields have like 9 touchdowns on the ground?
Yeah, because I think he, like Lance, you're not afraid to run him. Same with Herbert. Although there were times with Herbert where it's like, oh.
But there were also times with
Fields.
I mean, he got crushed in the national championship. Like, you can't be breaking ribs. Like, you got to be – it's a hard balance.
Yeah.
But it's like, I mean, Jimmy doesn't run around. He's missed 25
games. Yeah, that's part
games.
of the deal. Like, the athleticism sometimes gets you out of the trouble. Sometimes it puts you in trouble, but sometimes it gets you out of trouble.
It's like Jimmy's torn his ACL. He's hurt his ankle like 7 times. Like, oh, does he run the triple option? No, he's a pocket quarterback. He gets all his action, until he falls on people.